Here are today's top stories. First, a TV series based on the hugely popular video game franchise The Last of Us has been given the green light at HBO. The premium cable outlet has picked up the drama from Craig Mazin of Chernobyl and the game's writer and creative director Neil Druckmann. The Last of Us series is set 20 years after the destruction of modern civilization. It centers on Joel, a hardened survivor of the apocalypse who's hired to smuggle a 14-year-old girl named Ellie out of an oppressive quarantine zone. HBO put The Last of Us into development in March. ABC's Grey's Anatomy made headlines last week when Patrick Dempsey's Derek Shepherd made a McDreamy appearance. But on this week's episode, viewers found out it's part of a massive storyline in which lead actress Ellen Pompeo's Meredith Grey has COVID-19.
Maggie, I've got this. Do you? Because we both know what happens when a patient's lungs start to look like that. They could turn on us at any moment.
Showrunner Krista Vernoff is opening up about why the show decided to give Meredith COVID to illuminate the plight of healthcare workers amid the pandemic. Vernoff told The Hollywood Reporter in a statement, in part, "Last week we felt Meredith Grey's pain as a doctor treating an early surge of COVID patients. This week we begin to experience what it is for her to be a COVID patient herself. Over 1,700 healthcare workers in the U.S. have died of COVID to date. Many thousands more have been infected. Healthcare workers are on the front lines of this crisis, living through a war for which they were not trained." Edward Norton is hypothesizing about Donald Trump's endgame in his continued fight to overturn the 2020 election that projected Joe Biden as the winner, saying people need to call Trump out on his bluff. Oscar-nominated actor Norton said that although he is not a political pundit, his father was a federal prosecutor, and the actor has played enough poker to know, in his opinion, exactly what Trump is attempting: a concession for a pardon. Norton started his Twitter thread by saying, "I do not think Trump is trying to make his base happy or laying the groundwork for his own network, or that chaos is what he loves. The core of it is that he knows he's in deep, multidimensional legal jeopardy, and this defines his every action. We're seeing 1, a tactical delay of the transition to buy time for cover-up and evidence suppression, 2, above all, a desperate endgame, which is to create enough chaos and anxiety about peaceful transfer of power and fear of irreparable damage to the system that he can cut a Nixon-style deal in exchange for finally conceding. But he doesn't have the cards. His bluff after the flop has been called in court." According to Norton, all Trump cares about at this point is saving his own hide, and the people need to call him out on his bluff and not flinch. For more on all these stories, head to THR.com. For The Hollywood Reporter News, I'm Tiffany Taylor.